All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for tuning in to the Business Bear Podcast. It's Connor Norman here, your business development specialist and host for your favorite business time podcast, letting you know what's happening right here in our community. We're excited today to be joined by Mr. Alden Layman from our friends at Iron Horse Associates. He's their project manager, and he's going to be boiling down everything Iron Horse is about today. So we're looking forward to hearing from him. But before we go there, let's go over the ground rules for the Business Bear Podcast. If you're listening for the first time, welcome. This is your mover and shaker podcast where we let you know what's happening in your business community. Everything from hearing from local businesses as we profile them, local economic development movers and shakers, and officials in our area. This podcast is sponsored by Garrett County Business Development and Garrett County Government. Any opinions reflected by the host or their guests do not reflect that of Garrett County Government or Business Development. So now that that's all out of the way, it's time to get started. Alden, how you doing today?
I'm good, Connor. Thanks for having me.
I'm happy to have you here in the studio, man. It's been a while. We've had to move the schedules around, but we have finally got you in, and it's going to be an exciting episode. I am so happy to have you here and excited to talk about Iron Horse Associates. Just let people know what's going on in your neck of the woods. You guys are busy working in all these different fields. But before we go over that, man, how you doing today?
I'm good. I'm great.
That's good. That's good.
Sun's shining and it quit raining, and I can't complain. We can actually get some work done.
It's been like 2 solid weeks of rain, hasn't it?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the rainy weather, and it's not like we could have just a normal small rain where you get inches at a time.
Yeah, and you guys are in some infrastructure projects and stuff. I'm sure that slows things down.
It definitely puts a damper on moving dirt and doing what we do.
Awesome. Well, you know, I know you well, but there are some listeners that are hearing about you for the first time. Tell the people a little bit about yourself.
So, my name's Alden Layman, and I'm 25. Yeah, I think I just turned 25.
There you go.
I've kind of been in this industry as far as logging my entire life. I grew up working for my dad. He had a family business, and we were in the timber industry. And then I kind of broadened my horizons coming to work for Iron Horse, and got a little more invested in some of the dirt work aspect of things. I kind of got thrown to the fire on some projects, and it really helped me learn, like some of the really important things in doing a trade. So I'm pretty thankful for that, but I've been in this industry my entire life, so
that's pretty awesome. And I think you have a good analogy there.
Thrown to the wolves.
Yeah, that's just it. Yeah. Thrown to the wolves, into the frying pan, you name it. Learning the ropes as you've gone along. Tell me a little bit about Iron Horse itself, 101, and then we'll kind of dig into the specific things that you guys do.
So Iron Horse itself started solely as a logging company. So
okay.
What they would do is they would either go buy their own standing timber, or they would work for a sawmill as a contractor.
Okay.
And they would give us these plots of land, and we would go in and harvest, certain species of timber and sizes. It's all different. Every timber contract's different. There's, different criteria that is involved with.
Okay.
But anyway, you go in and you harvest the timber and send it to the sawmill, and then that's pretty much it. I mean, it doesn't sound like much, but there's a lot that goes into it to actually cutting the trees down and cutting them up to certain grades and lengths and certain like species categories. And
yeah.
They go to all different types of mills and places too, and are used for all different types of things. So there's quite a process in actually sorting the wood out.
Yeah. But
that's what Iron Horse originally started as. And then throughout the years, my boss, the owners, Jeff and Denise Thomas, they kind of started getting into some clearing work for like industrial sites, like solar sites and wind farm sites, and anything that involved clearing or grubbing, getting rid of trees to build, a building, anything that involved having to get rid of trees to build something.
Yeah.
And they got into that, and things kind of progressed, and then they started getting into some of the actual dirt work, considering, we have to do dirt work to be able to get in there and, get the trees, get to some of the locations. And some of the locations, we cut trees at are remote. So like we're building roads, doing road renovations to get tractor trailers in to be able to haul the wood out, to get our equipment in because it's so big. So essentially we're in the dirt work trade before we even got to cut the timber.
I see these shows on like the Discovery Channel and stuff where they're following the lives of these guys that work in the timber field. Is it really as dramatic as those shows paint it out to be? Is it dangerous? Like, tell me a little bit about that.
It's definitely dangerous, and it's definitely a lot more than what they put on for show. I've been in the industry my whole life, so it doesn't really... I'm used to it, if you want to say that.
Yeah.
But in reality, if you took the average Joe out there and they came and seen some of the stuff that we do and like actually seen some of the things we have to do to get wood out and how, time consuming and hard it actually is, they would definitely be shocked. The videos and the stuff on the Discovery Channel, I mean, some of the stuff that you see, it is pretty dangerous and serious, but like a lot of that too, they script it and whatnot.
That's what I thought.
Jeff he was on an episode of Axemen.
No way.
He did an episode of Axemen, and it might have been an episode or 2 episodes.
Well, I'm going to have to look that up.
That's a story for him, but yeah, it's on there. He was on...
That's so cool.
The Discovery Channel, I think, is what they had Axemen on.
Wow. Yeah, one of them.
But yeah, there was a lot of scripting and stuff that goes into it. But in all reality, though, it is a tough job, and you're always fighting something, whether it's the weather or the ground you're working on. It's not easy to just cut a tree, especially a big tree, and then... You got to get it out of where you cut it from. And if you cut it over a cliff, then how are you going to get that heavy ass tree up out and whatnot?
So there's got to be like a lot of training and science and just real thinking work around getting these trees, down safely and of course loaded up safely. Would you say that's true?
Oh yeah. Yep. And then you got to be safe in getting the trees out, with your equipment. I mean, you put the equipment in some serious condition, get into some spots, where it's, you wouldn't typically think that you would put equipment in, and you can't, roll it over or you
up on the mountainside in the mud.
You got to be safe about doing it too. I mean, it gets pretty intense in some spots.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
People would be surprised some of the stuff that we get equipment on.
That's crazy.
And some of the places we get in and out of.
And how long has Iron Horse been in this industry?
25 years this year.
25 years. So you guys definitely know your stuff at this point.
Yep.
So outside of the logging area, you guys kind of diversified into other areas. What were those?
So we got into some actual civil construction, which consists of like, digging dirt and building roads and putting in like some minor utilities and stuff. And how that all came about was these projects we were clearing for, we're like, well, we built the roads in here, we cleared all the trees. We can definitely.
Yeah, why not do it all?
Yeah, we can definitely dig the dirt and move it around and, we can do all of this. So, kind of started doing more and more and more, and then it just took off. And I can't really say what point in time it took off, just because it just, one thing, like you're doing one thing and then the next thing you're fully invested in something else and you can't even really remember when the time was where you actually
how did we get here?
But that's just kind of how it went. And before my time at Iron Horse, Jeff had done some projects in the past, like some really big local projects, actually, like the Criterion Wind Farm there off of Bethlehem Road.
Wow.
And once he, got in and kind of started doing, bigger stuff like that, I think it really accelerated him to want to invest more time and focus into expanding versus focusing on one thing. Because we kind of had one thing mastered, then we're learning this new thing. We really like doing it too. So why can't we try and master it and combine both and expand? I mean, it just worked out that way.
Yeah. It's got to be a monumental project to work with those windmills. I mean, they look huge as they bring them in they look huge when they bring them in those pieces, but all put together, you guys are working around all of that.
Yeah, those projects are some serious projects. It's not like, digging a house or, building a house or a garage or moving a little dirt here or there. It's like there's a lot more that goes into it than just making a level spot and sticking a windmill there. There's foundations and stormwater management. That's half the battle, is the E&S and all the stormwater.
Wow.
That's kind of, some people like to separate the civil construction from the E&S just because it's a whole nother beast in and of itself, which we do a lot of that too.
But
before you can even get in there and dig the dirt, we got to go in and put in stormwater ponds, ditches, control all the water so we're not going to be contaminating creeks or, water sources and leaving sedimentation, where it's not supposed to be. So that essentially comes first, and then we can go in there and cut the trees and dig the dirt.
Wow.
But a lot of times there's a lot of dirt, moving involved with getting those sediment traps like the basins and the ponds and the ditches and everything in. So they all kind of flood together. You got to clear the trees to get in there. You got to put the stormwater in, and to do that, you got to dig dirt, and then you just find yourself doing the whole thing.
I think it's kind of cool, that natural progression you guys have had too. Like, we were already timbering, and to timber, we were building roads and moving dirt. And then you just kind of moved into that field and then expanded for like, okay, well, now we can start doing utilities and infrastructure. And then all of a sudden you guys are into major energy infrastructure projects. And you guys have gone even further than that. I understand that, when they replace those windmills and stuff, they have your company come out and do a lot of those replacements and stuff. Is that true?
Yeah, Jeff wasn't the prime contractor when they first put him in 2010-ish, I want to say, or 2011, I think. I could be wrong on those dates. I wasn't part of that when they were putting that project in originally. But since he had some involvement in that and worked with the prime contractors as a subcontractor, they ultimately built a relationship over the years, and he started maintaining, the wind farm. So like we would cut the grass and plow the snow and do their general yearly maintenance on like access roads and keep up with their stormwater ponds and keep everything mowed out. So he continued building a relationship. Well, the relationship came to be, a really good one. And when the time came around for them to do the repower, which if nobody's familiar with the repower, it's when they tear the old windmills down and replace them with a new set of more efficient, something that, is going to either leave the same footprint or less of a footprint and be more efficient. They came to him and was like, hey, we're going to do this project. You're our prime maintenance contractor, and you were here when we built them. We want to give you the opportunity to get into this repower. So that's kind of how we got into this repower project here. He also had experience with the same company on other sites. So, once he got on one site and was doing stuff as a subcontractor, the prime contractor was dragging him to other sites saying, hey, since you did that site, you can do this site. Since you did that site, you can do this site.
Yeah.
So then that kind of expanded into, opportunity on one project. Now you're looking at 3 different others. So that kind of expands everything too.
Wow. Now, what do you guys do? I understand sometimes you take apart the windmills and stuff.
Yeah.
What do you do with those big pieces?
We got the job for the repower as the prime contractor for all the civil scope, which was clearing, civil, moving the dirt, building the roads, fixing them, expanding the site, making all the intersections where they had to bring the blades in off the highway. We had to do modifications to those, like sand flat.
Yeah, I remember passing that every day.
135 and down at Little Sandy's, we had to put a big cut in there, and then Bethlehem, we put a big cut. Once they actually started construction, GE, General Electric, was the ones who were providing the turbines for this repower. So they had the scope of tearing the old ones down and putting the new ones up. That wasn't part of our scope, just because the way it works is when they do those repowers, the company who provides the turbine is the ones who generally put them up and take the old ones down. But they hire, a set of their own subcontractors to come in and remove the old ones. So this is something we had never been involved in before. I mean, we had been involved in, just typical demolition, like tearing down buildings and scrapping, typical stuff like that. But this was definitely something new to us coming into this project. So us being the civil contractor during this phase of tearing the turbines down and putting them up, we kind of had to be there at all times, just because there was modifications that needed done across the whole site for every turbine. So when we did the site, you get your drawings, and we build the site to the spec on the drawings, and the site's essentially done. But it doesn't work that easy, just because real life conditions are not always accounted for, in the original drawing. So, some things had to be adjusted, like maybe a crane pad wasn't going to work out how they thought it was going to work out. So they would be like, hey man, we need this crane pad moved because it wasn't going to work out how we thought.
No.
And then some of the blade lanes are like, well, that blade lane is where it's supposed to be, but it's not going to work. We got to do this different, and this different. So we were always there doing like modifications and kind of supporting GE throughout them tearing the turbines down, putting the new ones up. Yeah. And the site was pretty limited on space, considering it being on top of a ridge. So like when they would tear these towers down, they had, all these huge components. Like the blades were 150 feet long, and the tower cans, were 80 feet long to 100 feet long. And once you get all this stuff on the ground, you don't have very much space to stack it, and it's enormous. And you got a bunch of room down there when the tower's up, but when you tear the tower down and it's all laying on the ground in pieces, you don't have much room.
Yeah, definitely.
So we would have to, make modifications to the site to accommodate for needed space. Or
it's like an enormous game of Tetris.
Yeah, and safety came into play with a lot of things too. That's top priority up there. So, if something doesn't seem like it's going to be as safe as what it can be, then, we would adjust so we could make it a little safer than what it should be. Because everything that we're doing up there is high risk as is. So we were just there constantly. Well, they started tearing down the turbines, and GE had brought one of their own subcontractors in as a scrapper. They just call him scrapper. And what they do is they take the old components, get rid of them off site, and just clean the mess up. So they came in and they started doing that, and they made it through about half of a turbine, and then they got shut down. So working for a company like Constellation, it's unlike working for any other contractor. I mean, there's a lot of contractors like them, but working for a company like them, it's a lot different than just doing any conventional work out there. So like safety is a huge deal to them, which it should be to everybody. There's a reason there's a focus there, considering, the line of work we're doing. We had to stay in compliance environmentally. So like we couldn't be sloppy with our oil. Like we had to, we couldn't have oil spills and stuff like that. Definitely. So apparently this contractor that came in had never been held to a standard like this before. So they were up there, trying to pull the oil out of these turbines, spilling it all over the place.
Oh, no.
And they had safety guys up there. They were climbing up on top of things without being tied off. They were doing unsafe things.
Jeez.
And they came in and they were like, you just got to stop. Like, you can't. So they went back and forth and they gave him an opportunity to try again. And I think they gave him 3 more opportunities, and they did a couple other unsafe things that, you know, nobody got hurt, fortunately, but it's just the fact that you can't do that.
Yeah. Let's just say, long story short, it ended up...
So they told him, we're done with you. We can't. So they went to GE and they're like, well, these guys can't be on site. We're kicking them off our site. And they're like, well, what are we supposed to do now? I mean, they were our only people that was, you know, scrapping for us, really. I mean, we got other contractors, but by the time we get up here and, you know, get them set up, you know, we're pushing the project back a year.
Yeah.
So they were like, well, what about Iron Horse? They can do it. And they were like, what are you talking about? Like the civil guys? And they were like, yeah, we have faith in them. They can do it. And
how nice of them.
So they came to us and they were like, hey, you know, you guys think this is something you can do? Because us being up there on site, the scrapping guys came and they didn't have the equipment to do the job. Like, they've done these sites in the past, but this site in particular had the biggest turbines that they had ever worked on. The biggest, heaviest components they had ever moved. So they came here expecting, you know, what they have done in the past, and it was something double what they were expecting.
Wow.
Like, the blades were heavier, they were thicker. It was a different type of turbine that they've ever dealt with before. So they were coming to us, having us come up and use our heavy equipment, like our loaders and excavators, and we were hauling stuff on our trailers because their trailers couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
So we were essentially already doing
you were
some
doing
of the
the
work. And Constellation was like, well, we're going to kick these guys off site because they're not safe and they can't, you know, hold up to our expectations. And there's nothing GE can do about it. If you guys think that you can do this, then, I mean, you're already doing half of it.
Yeah.
Then, I mean, take a crack at it. Just make sure you're doing it safely. So, of course, we said, hell yeah.
Jumped right on it.
So, they essentially went back to GE and said, hey, you know, we're not going to give you an option here. Iron Horse is going to do this because we know, you know, from our past working relationship that they can handle it and they'll do what we want and how we want it done and, you know, hold up our expectations for the job. And they were like, whatever. They didn't really have a choice because they couldn't get another contractor in there, and they pretty much told them, you know, we were going to do it. So,
wow, how cool is that?
We got in there. These components, these tower components are like unbelievably big and heavy. If you knew how much they weighed, like, you would never think it was something that could be sitting up there that heavy, you know,
yeah,
300 feet high, 150 feet high in the air. But what they did was they tore the old towers down and they set them on the ground, and then they would put the new towers up, and then we would come in behind them and clean the towers up. So with the whole episode with the recycling company getting kicked off, they got ahead a couple turbines because the scrappers are supposed to stay right there with them so they don't get backed up. So when there's a bunch of work to do after the tower gets put back up, and then all that stuff's in the way. So they continued tearing down and putting new up, and there was just turbines and turbines of scrap that needed gotten rid of. So that's when we started. And there's a couple major components that come with the towers. There's the tower cans, the nacelle, which would be like the house that sits on top of the tower. And what that consists of would be a machine base, which is the main frame of where all the internals sit, and it bolts to the actual tower tube itself. And then there was a gearbox that sat in the machine base frame. And then the rest of it was just like electrical components like generators off of the gearbox, cooling equipment, electronics, all kinds of stuff in there. And then there was a hub, which was a big metal piece that bolted onto the gearbox. And then the 3 blades, bolted onto the hub. So they kept the tower cans and just replaced the nacelle, the hub, and the blades. So they would set the nacelle down, and it would have the gearbox in it, which it was about 110,000 pounds, just the gearbox inside.
Oh my gosh.
The machine base was 74 or 75,000 pounds. So right there is almost 200,000 pounds. And then with all the other working components inside of the thing, like the hoses and bolts and generators and cooling systems and stuff in there, the total nacelle would weigh anywhere from like 260 to 280,000 pounds. And it all varied, which is kind of strange.
Gosh, and you guys were able to move all of that.
Yeah, so what we did with, hang on, I'm getting ahead of myself here. They would sit the nacelle down, and it would have the gearbox and the machine base. And it still looked like it did up there. It had the fiberglass shell. You couldn't see what was in there, but what was in there was heavy. And then they would set the whole rotor assembly down, and they would pop the blades off, and they would just sit the blades off to the side one by one. And then they would sit the hub there, which holds the blades and bolts the gearbox. So first thing we had to do was drain all the oil and keep it contained, because these things had hundreds of gallons of oil in them. I think each turbine had like 120 gallons of oil.
Oh my gosh.
And then between all the cooling systems and everything, because there's oil coolers in there, excuse me, there was, I think it was like 120, 140 gallons per turbine.
Wow.
So we had to go in there. We kind of figured out a way. We figured out a good system. Like we had a transfer tank with a containment. We had like hoses and stuff, and we figured out a fitting that we could put on our hoses, and we could connect it to their hoses, because they have to maintain the tower. They have to change the oil in it.
Yeah.
So we got a hookup to where we could hook right up to their fitting, and we could suck all the oil out and not spill a drop. So we go in and suck the oil out, get rid of all the environmental hazards that come along with it. Like the bottom bearings were packed so full of grease, like there was like grease in there a foot thick, and that's an environmental hazard. So when they would sit these things down, we had to put plastic down, because the grease would be laying there on the ground, and it would, like, I'm talking 55-gallon drums of grease on this ring. And it was a mess.
Wow. So
we'd have to get that all cleaned up and make sure we didn't contaminate, any soil and stuff with that. And then we could finally crack into the thing and start taking it apart so you could even move it. 300,000 pounds, you can't just roll around or load on a truck real quick. It's just dead weight sitting there. So we would strip the outside shell, strip all the components off of it, and sort everything into scrap categories, because there's stainless and regular steel and aluminum, and we would sort all our scrap out. And then we would strip the main component, the gearbox, from the machine base. So we would take the 100,000 pound gearbox off, and then that would leave us with essentially a 70, 80,000 pound machine base. So we could move the 100,000 pound gearbox easily. We'd put on a low boy, and then we could do the same with the machine base. Now they were both oversized, but that was fine with us because we have trucks. We haul oversized stuff all the time.
Yeah, easy for you guys.
So with that being said, we had to get these things off a site as fast as we could, just because they're in the way.
Yeah, you got new components coming in and stuff, I imagine.
They're trying to commission the new towers, and they're working around this stuff. So we had a large staging area that was built down at our shop, which was real close to the site. And that's where they would stage the trucks with the blades for delivery. So like they would have to wait. The trucks would come in with the blades on a schedule, and then they would have to wait, and they would get accepted on the site and come out of our staging yard and go up to the site. And we had to build like an 8-acre parking lot up there to hold these trucks because you can't just get a truck with a 180-foot long blade just off the side of the road.
Yeah. No.
There was a lot that came into it.
Yeah.
So, we thought if we can break these components down into manageable weights, then we'll just haul them to our shop, and then we'll break them down further so we can haul them, without being oversized. So what we did was we would permit just between our shop and the site, and we would haul all our heavy components down. And then once we got them to the site, we would cut them and strip them of, like you could take the gearbox apart more, but you couldn't do it in a timely manner on site.
Yeah.
So we would do that all at the shop and then separate the steel so we could get the best value out of our scrap and stuff. And another issue that we ran into with this was there's not a lot of scrap yards that can unload something that weighs 50 tons.
Yeah.
So
wow.
We kind of learned this the hard way. We called, a scrap company and was like, hey, we're going to have all this scrap metal. Do you want it? And they're like, yeah, send it. And they're like, what is it? And we were like, oh, it's a big solid steel gearbox with like gears in it. And, it's got like a cast case and whatnot. And they're like, oh yeah, we want it. And we're like, this thing's heavy. And they're like, it doesn't matter. Like, don't matter, bring it. We want it. We'll take care of it. So we get the truck there and they see this thing and they're like, we can't unload this. How much does it weigh? And we're like, oh, it's 50 tons. And they're like, well, we don't have anything that can lift 50 tons. We put all our equipment together and can't lift 50 tons. And we're like, well, we told you, it's big. And you didn't ask for the weight. And you said bring it. And they were like, well, I don't know what we're going to do. So they ended up trying to unload it. They had one big, they had a huge forklift. They had a huge, like a claw that they short strap with. They had the claw hooked to it and the forklift hooked to it, trying to pick it up off the trailer. Well, it was so heavy, they were trying to root around and pick it up. They broke the claw thing is a huge excavator with a claw on it, essentially. And they broke the actual excavator off of its turntable. So like the turntable's mounted to the tracks, and it mounts the machine. You can spin around in circles. It broke the turntable off of the machine, and then there we sat. So they ended up having to call in 2 wreckers, bring 2 wreckers in, hook to either side, lift it up, and let us pull out from underneath of it. And then they, did whatever with it. So after that happened, they were like, yep, no more. We can't do that. So we had to figure out another solution, which was essentially downsizing them so they were manageable. And then we had a hub, which it was only like 30-some thousand pounds. It was easy. That was easy work. We could set it on a truck with an excavator and haul it right to the scrapyard. They could deal with it. And then the blades, that was a big one. Each turbine has 3 blades. We did 28 turbines. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So there was 28 times 3, 24.
Yeah, and how long are they?
About 100. Those were like 140 some feet.
140 feet.
Yeah.
Jeez. Golly.
So how we handled those was all of the heavy metal scrap components, we loaded those out with a crane just because that's the only way you could really pick them up. But how we handled the blades was you can't just haul that blade down the road and get rid of it. You have to either downsize it or, spend an unbelievable amount of money to try and haul it away whole. But they make tools for this. So we got digging and we came across a saw that goes on the end of an excavator, and like it's, if you would look at it, you're kind of like that seems like something you would see out of a movie. Like that wouldn't be a real life thing that they have, but they actually have these huge saws that go on the end of an excavator. So it ended up being a rock saw, and we would have a diamond wheel on it, and we would cut these blades into 3 sections. You had to cut the blades. You couldn't just break them. They were extremely tough. Like
really,
the actual inside thickness of the blades of like the resin and the fiberglass layers was like 3 inches thick. Huh. Like we thought that we were going to go up there and maybe like just break them in half and then load them up with an excavator. No. So we went up there and tried that, and then it made us look like a bunch of fools, because you would like try and break it with the excavator teeth and it would just bounce. Like, we're talking a 50,000 pound excavator. And a 100,000 pound excavator.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, big machines. And it just, you couldn't do anything with it.
Wow.
So we found this saw. We did a little research and seen other people using it for this. And we ended up investing in this saw and bought it. It made our life so much easier. And then we cut them in 3 sections. And we would haul all of them down to our staging area also. So we would have 2 loads to get to the staging area, just to get them off site quickly. And we would haul the root assembly, which has got the great big bell end, and then it had a wing on it where it's the round piece that connects to the actual turbine itself. And then the blade, transforms shape into like a fan, essentially, like a flatter piece. So that was a really awkward section to try and haul. And we ended up we took an older trailer that we had and built log standards on it and cut the log standards to certain heights and like positioned them on the trailer and welded it to where it would hold this root and blade and support the wing portion of it, so it wasn't oversized sticking off the trailer, and we could it would haul it perfectly like its own little cradle.
Oh wow. So
we got that figured out, and then this other smaller sections, like the tip, like the 50-foot long tip section and the mid section, they were all manageable pieces. They were like 9 feet wide. We could just put those on a trailer. And we were up there with log trailers, putting blades on a log trailer, and people were like, those guys that were scrapping before us, they're like, what the hell are you guys doing? And we're like, hey, man, this is the perfect tool for the job. I mean, it worked out great. It was just like a log, but a really weird shaped log, and we were used to that. So we got that figured out. So
that's so cool.
Once we got, it took a little bit of time to figure out, our first system. But man, after that first one, we had a system, and we just hammered them out of there. And we would take everything to our staging yard to get it off site, and then we would kind of process it from there.
Wow.
So
that's spectacular. I mean, it's incredible how you guys have been so adaptable in your business model. Like I think you just mentioned it there. You guys were used to misshaped logs and stuff like that. How that helped you pivot to eventually moving these big blades and components. I mean, that's really cool that Iron Horse has been able, again, to really change its business model to diversify itself so that you're not just in one field, you're in multiple. I imagine it's probably true. Anyone that has a career with Iron Horse has lots of opportunity to learn a lot and to get into a lot. Would you say that's right?
Yeah, definitely. So that's kind of where the starting out as a logging company kind of comes into play, because if logging, there's a lot of problem solving that gets involved with it. So when you end up training your mind, when you run into a tough scenario, you already figured out how to do something. You already figured out a solution. So like a daily occurrence in the logging industry, everything's a problem. Something's too big. So it essentially trains your mind into any problem that you stumble upon, you already either are finding a solution or figuring out a way around it as a solution.
Yeah.
So that kind of, I will say that definitely helped. I mean, that definitely makes us a little better, you know, figuring out problem wise. It just, there wasn't an issue. Like, there wasn't much of a problem. Like, some people were like, can you do it? Well, yeah, we can do it. And they're like, well, how? And they're like, oh, we'll figure it out. And they're like, well, that doesn't work like that. And we're like, yes, it does.
Absolutely. It works that way.
It works like that. I mean, how else would you do it? I mean, if nobody's done it this way before, how would you know if it works or doesn't work? I mean, we know it's going to work. So that, I will say, that has definitely played a large role in us expanding too. So
very cool. Well, I know it's been a pleasure to see how well you guys have been doing out there. And it feels like every time we check in, you know, you guys are going into a different field, you know, again, remaining very versatile in what you offer people. And I understand that you guys are always looking to expand. And are you guys looking for new employees, new opportunities there?
We'll always hire if somebody is willing to work.
Awesome.
There's always opportunity for new hires as long as people are willing to work.
Well, it sounds like a very challenging field too, where somebody, you know, would you say it's fair to say that you probably do not do the same thing every day, that you're always...
Yeah, there is some, you know, tedious components to it, as far as like operating certain equipment. Like certain jobs, you know, you're doing the same thing every day for extended period of time, but it's not like any other typical job where you're actually doing the same thing every day.
Yeah.
And you're moving from job site to job site, and you might have to, you know, do something else or learn another trade or learn to operate another piece of equipment. Or, I mean, you're always getting thrown something that's different.
That's cool.
Whether it's, you know, just moving projects, you know, it's a different environment.
Yeah.
So like you're working with different dirt, you're working with different stone. You know, this site might be rock, solid rock. This site might be, you know, 2 feet of topsoil. I mean, everything's different.
Yeah.
So that definitely is a plus.
Absolutely. Variety is the spice of life.
Yeah, 100%.
Very cool. Well, if somebody was looking to learn a little more about what Iron Horse does, dig into these services, do you guys have like a Facebook, website, a telephone number? What do you got?
Yeah, we got a Facebook and maybe an Instagram. I'm not sure on that. We definitely have a Facebook. We have a website. Our website is Iron Horse at ironhorse-md.com. And then our Facebook, I think, is Iron Horse Associates. Which should be pretty easy to find.
Awesome.
And then we have a office phone number if you're interested. It's 301-334-6911. And if you guys have, you know, any interest or any questions, feel free to reach out to any of those platforms or reach out by phone. We're located off of 560 right there past Laughlin Church of God. Stop in.
Yeah. Awesome. That's so cool. And you have some of the old, do you still have some of the blades sitting out there?
We don't.
You moved them.
Yeah, we actually got them all hauled off. We have one tip section and a root section for memorabilia.
Yeah, but, definitely.
We got to have something, you know.
You guys need a future windmill. You might have to make a playground out of some of the pieces.
But at one point in time, it seemed like we were never going to get those things hauled out of there.
That's so cool.
And, you know, we were trying to haul them out as fast as we could, and the company that we hauled them to was a recycling company out in Missouri. We had to haul them all the way to Missouri so the blades were recycled instead of, you know, just put in a landfill.
Incredible.
They actually called us and was like, you got to stop sending us so many blades. We can't handle it.
Wow.
So we were like, okay. So we kind of backed it down a little bit. I mean, we were sending like 4 to 6 tractor trailer loads.
Wow.
And what we would do was in our staging yard, we would take the tip section in the midsection and we would put it into the root section because they were smaller in diameter. We could stuff that in and consolidate, and we would cut the wing off of the root so it would sit on a trailer nicely. And we would put like the tip in, the root section, and then a bunch of the other fiberglass waste that came off of the nacelle. Because there's a lot of other fiberglass waste like that creates the shell around the nacelle so it looks pretty, and around the hub also. We would stuff that in the root, and then we had drop deck trailers, and we figured out we could take the midsection and put it on the bottom of the drop deck, cut it just a little bit shorter, and it would essentially give us a level platform because of the step deck, and we could sit the root with the tip section right on top of it with all the other fiberglass material jammed in it.
Wow.
We could haul a whole blade in one load.
Wow.
And they were difficult to load. We got it figured out though. I mean, it was a learning curve for the first blade. And then
a lot of creative problem solving.
Once we figured it out, it was like a piece of cake.
Yeah.
So once we got it figured out, man, we had a big wheel loader with log forks on it, and we would go up to the sections and we would just pick them up and close the log clam forks, and we could load them on the trailer safely and easily. And then we would just take a excavator and put the tip section started in, and then come with the loader and push it in, and then we would take all the other smaller fiberglass chunks and we would wiggle them in there and stuff them in there. And then there was a cap at the base of the blade itself, so when the guys in the tower, were working, they wouldn't just fall down into the blade. Like it would have a cover, and then we would put the cover back over top of it, so everything was contained inside. And it ended up working out really good. I think we had 80 some loads of blades.
80 loads of blades. That's incredible.
we hauled every load to Louisiana, Missouri.
Huh.
Yep.
Wow. Good for you guys. That's incredible. Like I said, I'm endlessly impressed with what Iron Horse Associates has achieved. And again, you can find them on Facebook. What was your website one more time?
It was ironhorse-md.com.
Oh, nice. So you can go to ironhorse-md.com to learn more. Alden, I appreciate you coming here and talking to me, my friend. That was really cool to learn about what you guys have going on. At the end of every episode, I kind of leave the microphone open. If you got any announcements, you got any things, maybe you just want to reiterate some of the stuff you guys do. This is your time, man. What do you got to say?
I don't really have any announcements. We're busy as ever. We got a lot of stuff going on. So if there's somebody out there that's wanting to kind of get in the trade and learn some of the trade and do some of the things that we do, feel free to reach out to us. We love some hard workers.
Awesome. So you heard it here, folks. You're looking for good work. You're looking for a challenging, critical thinking position that's gonna take you far. And of course, if you're looking for a spectacular vendor in the world of infrastructure, logging, etc., you contact our friends at Iron Horse Associates. So happy to have project manager Alden Layman here again from Iron Horse Associates. Thank you so much for coming in, Alden. Appreciate having you, and appreciate everyone who's listening today. Remember, you can follow us at our Garrett County, Maryland Department of Business Development on Facebook, Twitter, or X, whatever it's being called these days. We've got an Instagram and, of course, LinkedIn. Be following us for all future episode drops of the Business Bear Podcast and to see what's happening in your backyard. All right, folks, we appreciate having you along, and we'll see you all on the other side.